Moving countries and starting university can be quite a stressful experience. I know this firsthand as an international student myself. I moved here from Denmark, and as I moved here, there were quite a few surprises that popped up during the process, so I thought I'd make a video for you guys kind of talking you through some of the things that I hadn't anticipated before I got to England to hopefully make your transition a little bit easier. Now, throughout this video, I will be giving you some names of some places that I've used and that's helped me, but I would like to say that it's important you do research to see kind of what fits you the best, so they're just more like a guideline showing that these things are possible. The first thing that popped up was during my quest to find an accommodation, and this was a guarantor. I was told that I needed a guarantor, basically a co-signer, someone to co-sign my lease for me to be able to move in. And basically what a guarantor does is that they just sign a piece of paper saying that if for some reason you're not going to pay your rent, the company can then, your landlord, can then go after your guarantor and say, hey, please pay rent. So they're basically just like insurance for the landlord that they're going to get their money. In most cases, this person will have to be above 18 and live in England, and that can be a little bit tricky for international students to find. So you have two options. The first option is trying to find a landlord that doesn't require you to have a British guarantor. These letting agents do exist, even though they seem to be a bit more far and few between. For example, I'm staying with Jigsaw Property Solutions next year, and they said that they didn't really care. They'd rather have it be a parent because they're a bit more reliable than me choosing one of my British friends to do it. So they let me use my dad as a guarantor even though he lives in Denmark. So before you settle on an accommodation, I would recommend calling up and asking them about the guarantors and just kind of calling around or doing a little bit of Googling to try and find one. If you can't find one, there is another option, and that is using a company as your guarantor. Personally, for my first year, I used Housing Hand as my guarantor because they're a guarantor company. Now this does cost a little bit of money. I think my first year accommodation was about £350, which is quite annoying to have to shell out, so take that into consideration when you're doing a budget. Basically, I found out about them through the agency that I was letting with, telling me that these were the people they usually dealt with. So ask your landlord if they have anybody that they usually deal with. If not, Google and try and find some of these companies. The second obstacle I found was getting myself a bank account. Now, most students will just open up a student bank account, but because I was international, they wouldn't let me have one because they were afraid I was gonna like leave the country or something. I'm not entirely sure, but they didn't let me have one. At least most banks wouldn't. In fact, quite a few banks said that if I needed one, I needed to pay a fee monthly, and I was not interested in that. So the bank I found that didn't do that was Barclays, and I still couldn't get a student account, which means there are some benefits I don't have.
Editing Melina here. I actually just double checked this, and I do have a student account with Barclays. It's just an international student account. So it's still not the regular student account that British students get, but it's still called a student account, but for international people. So just want to correct that. Everything else I said is still true though.
For example, I don't have an overdraft, and usually student accounts will come with like perks, like a rail card or something like that, which I couldn't get, but I also didn't have to pay a monthly fee. So definitely look into that and be very careful of what you're signing on to so you don't end up spending more money getting a bank account than you would usually have to do. Another thing is to make sure you get an IBAN number, I-B-A-N number for your account back in your home country. This basically means that you can make international payments, because I found that I have a British bank account and a Danish bank account, and I can't really transfer money between them, which isn't ideal. So make sure you get one of those numbers so you can transfer money back and forth in case you need to do that. My third thing was getting a telephone, because there are a surprising number of things you can't do without a British telephone number. First time I encountered this was when I tried to sign up for some loyalty cards. I couldn't do that without a telephone number. Also, the health services I signed up wanted to contact me through cell phone and not just through email. I could still sign up for them, but they told me to give them my phone number as soon as I had it. So there are just quite a few places that would like to have your phone number. Plus, if you have a British cell phone number, that means you won't be paying like international fees when you use it, so it also saves your bank account. If you brought a phone over with you, what you want to look for is a SIM-only contract. I found that when they say contract, like a phone contract, they're talking about when you get a cell phone with a SIM card, and then you pay off the cell phone as well, which gets expensive. So if you have one, look for SIM only. And also make sure to note down whether or not international calls are part of your plan. The plan I got doesn't allow me to do that because that costs extra, and I can't make any extra payments through my contract. It's a set amount monthly. But however, when I travel back to Denmark for vacation, I can call. I also found that it wasn't that useful for me, since I can just use like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Google Hangout, all of those like messaging apps to use to talk to my family instead, which is more useful because it costs less money and I'd rather get data for the money. So think of that if you actually need international calls. The only time I found it was a problem was when I tried to contact my bank and I couldn't do it, but it was okay because I just settled the matter I needed to when I went back on vacation. Another thing you need a UK phone number for is to get a national insurance number. And a national insurance number, as far as I understood, is how they calculate your tax, or at least has something to do with taxes if you get a part-time job. So if you want to have a job whilst you're in the UK, you're gonna need a national insurance number. However, you can start working before you get your national insurance number. So don't let it deter it from you. Don't let it what? Don't let the fact that you don't have one deter you from starting a job. Just make sure you get one as soon as possible. Basically what you do is that you have to call a phone number and you answer some questions, like your name, where do you live, why do you want one, and also give them a British cell phone number. If you don't have a British cell phone number, you can't get it, so get on that phone thing. After that, you go to a job centre, which for me was in Nottingham, and it seems like that's the closest one for Lincoln people, and you answer some more questions. And if you already have a job, make sure you bring proof of you having that job, because I didn't do that and I had to do this whole awkward thing where I was pulling up like work emails because I didn't really know how to access my pay slips. Just make sure you bring proof, it'll make everything a lot easier. Now, if you get a job, you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna pay taxes. Some countries have this thing where you'll get taxed several places depending on how long you're staying in each place. So I'd recommend calling up your home country and ask them for how taxation works in that country. For me, I found out as long as I'm not staying for longer than a month within each 6-month cycle of a year, I will not be paying taxes in Denmark. And because I don't have a permanent residence, because I've moved out of my parents' house and I don't have a room waiting for me to go back to, I don't pay taxes there. But each country works differently, so I call them up. Also, when I left Denmark, because I was gone for more than 2 years, I am basically written out of the Danish system, which I had to like register an address in the UK saying this is where I live, and I'm gonna be here for this long, and this is the reason why I'm here. And that also pays into taxes and some other legal matters, so just be on top of that. Make sure that you tell your home country all the information you need, and make sure you don't end up owing taxes that you don't need to, or paying less taxes than you need to, because that's not going to be fun for anyone. And the final thing is insurance. When you leave your home country and you leave living with your parents, you're probably no longer part of their insurance. And I think insurance is one of those things that young people kind of skimp on, but it's very important. In case you get hurt or you accidentally break something or something gets stolen, you want insurance to cover that. So for health insurance, whether you are an EU student or international student, you can get signed up at the general practice at the university. So the university has a health general practice thing, like a doctor basically, that will take on any student that's signed on. So make sure you get signed up on there, because then you have a doctor. For content insurance, some of your accommodation will have that as part of your rent, so double check if they have that. If not, you're gonna need to acquire it. And the same with like, I think it's called risk insurance or something, I'm not entirely sure, but the one that covers if you break something. Personally, I've got it through an organization that gives insurance to Danish students who travel within the EU. So I can't really help you with that because it's very specific to my situation, but do some research on that before you leave. So look at your options, see if any companies from home will do it, and if not, look into insurance company in the UK. I wish I had some things to name drop, but I don't quite yet. Yeah, I think we made it through all the things I wanted to talk to you about that was a bit surprising for me when I moved to England as an international student. I know this was a bit of a long video, very informational, not quite as fun, but I hope we can help you and help make your transition a little bit easier and maybe shield you from some of the surprises I had. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I will do my very best to answer them, or at the very least try and push you in the right direction of some people who can. If you yourself watching this are an international student who's currently living in Lincoln and has been here for a little bit, and you have some advice of some things you've run into, please also leave them in comments down below so we can all help each other out, because I think moving countries was definitely the most stressful process of me starting university. So let's just all try and make it a little easier for each other. Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I hope you have great, wonderful days without any surprises. Bye!